tracks ever factors for a curvature of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
NASA knows that. Everyone who are engineers, scientists who deal with buildings, they know that the Earth does not curve. That's a lie. That is one of the biggest lies. And once the change of perception takes place, then everything that they're putting down will be questioned. That's why they have to maintain that. They have people like they have jackasses like Neil deGrasse Tyson going
Mm.
around showing. They had one demonstration. He has this big ball Earth, and he has one of the people who are the workers come with a little moon, and he says, "Okay, where do you think the moon is in conjunction with the Earth? This is the Earth, and let's say that this is the moon." And so the guy's standing here, and this is the Earth, and he's standing. He says, "Well, how about here?" So the guy's Neil deGrasse, of course, he's a showman. He says, "Nah." Eh. He says, "Start." He said, "Turn around and start walking." So the guy ends up walking all the way off stage, and he says, "Well, the reason why it looks like that on your page in your book is because we have to scrunch the picture together." That's his excuse.
Mm. Wow.
We have to squinch the picture together. This is the nonsense that they're telling people, and this is us to behave because these are the high priests of high knowledge. They know everything.
Mm.
So we just surrender our critical thinking because we've been conditioned to believe exactly what it is he continues to propagate. But now I come along, and brother King Simon asks him, "I'd like you to speak. You to be on the stage. I'll take care of everything. You will talk with Dr. Valentine and blah blah blah." King Simon said, the guy, I guess after a while, he went back to him and he said, "No." Why? Because I had the scientific facts to show that he was full of you know what, and that he's a lie. He's a shill for the Vatican.
Mm. Wow.
So when perception changes, this is what seven is about. Seven is about the occult. Seven is about metaphysics. That's why I really, really, I'm not just doing this for myself because I'm just telling you all that my university teaching metaphysical psychology, it is to change your psychology and the way that you're thinking outside of the box so that you can understand what the invisible world, how that language works before it becomes visible.
What's the website, Doc? You didn't get the website earlier. What's the website to the
Uh,
university?
I guess I sent you everything in
Oh,
your
it's
email.
in a yeah, yeah. Let me see. It's right here. All right, my fault. www.uksnow.org.
Yeah, uksnow.org.
I'm gonna put Doc's whole list in the chat, family, of everything that he got going on, whether it's the Glint, Juice Plus, Novatech, homeschooling. I'm gonna put all that right now because it's in the description. Y'all could go to the description and see it, but I'm gonna put it in the chat for y'all so y'all could check it out. A lot of things going on with Dr. Valentine. They gave me an error code. Well, you'll see it. Yeah, you'll see some of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
uh,
yeah, yeah. So
Doc, somebody,
yeah,
good. No,
yeah, somebody had a question.
somebody had an interesting question when you was just talking about flat Earth. They said, if the Earth is flat, how do you explain different time zones?
The time zones are artificial. They're just based upon where the sun is at a particular time in the circle as it circles above us. The if you're looking at the circle, which essentially this, let's just say you're looking at this, the
Hmm.
sun and the moon. This is the sun. This is the moon. As the sun circles above us, it circles in a parabolic manner. So it's almost like elongated. It goes.
Mm,
Now, we just came out of the cycle where it went 3 days in one direction at the southern tip, and it stayed there in this particular cycle for 3 days before now it starts towards the northern hemisphere.
mm,
What happens is it gets, for us in the northern hemisphere, as it comes out of June the 21st, that's where that's Judas, that's the crab
mm,
that goes sideways. That's the That's the one that betrays Jesus, the
Mm-hmm.
Christ, the Son,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes down. It begins a long parabolic spin or cycle going around further and further. It starts like this, and it begins to start going outward, outward, outward until it goes down to the lower part where it's summertime in Australia and wintertime up in the north. Now, after December 21st and 24th, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, on the 25th, it now starts its cycle back up to the north, like you see now. And as it comes to the north, its circles becomes tighter and tighter and tighter, and the days become longer for us. So as it's not that the sun is going down or we're spinning outside of the earth. That is they're really wicked with this, with the way that they played us. It's the sun is moving out of our influence. You'll notice it as it goes down into the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going anywhere. The sun is moving. They want you to believe that you're somehow moving in a circle when
Mm-hmm.
the sun is moving in a circle and it's moving outside the perimeters or outside of the level of your vision of the horizon. It goes beyond the horizon, and that's when darkness happens. And as it begins to come back up, it comes back up in what you call the east, and that begins the day again because it now begins to tighten its circle. This is how we're inside of a gigantic cyclotron. Go look up what a cyclotron is, and you'll see that we're like in a battery. The moon is the negative, the sun is the positive, yeah, I think that's the one. Because no, I think the sun is the yeah, I think the sun is the electron, and the moon is the neutron or the proton. I got to remember what that cycle is about. But as the two of them are spinning, they're what's creating and causing the movement of life on Earth, the movement of the oceans, even storms, all of what's necessary to bring balance, because storms actually bring balance.
Mm-hmm.
Hurricanes bring balance, you see. And of
Indeed.
course, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a webinar long, flat plane, flat Earth webinar.
Uh-oh. 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 It's coming
I'm gonna
up.
put this. I'm gonna put this all to rest
Uh,
completely, so that when you look at that, you will see the intricate science that they've been hiding from us, and you'll find out that the whole globe Earth actually started in the Vatican.
uh,
They started it in the Vatican to make you believe that you are not special, that your particular creational uh, cycle is not special to you. Now, for instance, I don't want to, just monopolize the conversation.
go ahead, Doc. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I always tell people this in
Uh,
my students:
uh,
how do you create an atmosphere for humans, for things to live, for things to breathe? How do
how?
you create one?
How?
Most people don't know. Most people are not looking at the simplicity of life and not taking these people to task at what they tell us.
Mm,
Now, they tell us in the movies what it is that movies do. Movies are supposed to be showing us what science is supposed to, like Star Trek. They're
mm,
telling you what could go beyond the fundamental science you know. Here's us taking fundamental science to the next level, and we're traveling into outer space,
mm,
right?
mm,
They told you one thing. They said outer space is a vacuum.
mm,
Now, what is a vacuum? A vacuum, essentially, as they told you, has no atmosphere.
mm,
There's no oxygen. There's no way for you to even hear sound in a vacuum. Yet still, in the movies, you got in Star Trek, you could hear the engines of the TIE fighters in outer space, which is supposed to be a vacuum.
mm,
Okay? Now, You see in the movies when the hull of the ship is breached, everybody starts getting sucked out, right?
Right, right.
Why? Because it's a vacuum. All everything just gets sucked out into the vacuum.
Mm,
Have you ever noticed that we're on this round Earth, and when they show you these astronauts in outer space, there's this round Earth in outer space traveling at 65,000 miles an hour around the sun,
mm,
spinning at 1,025 miles an hour, yet still we have an atmosphere. The Earth is here, that's the Earth, and right above us is space. That's a vacuum. How in the hell does a atmosphere exist in direct contact with a vacuum? They
interesting.
say, well, gravity. Well, you have endless space. That's a vacuum. Is like what is the physics of a universe that's mostly vacuum with a little bit of little atmospheres and little planets, as they're saying. What is the comparison for a vacuum with an Earth that has an atmosphere of clouds and gases and so forth? Why are all the gases staying here? Why aren't the clouds being sucked out? Why are we still have an atmosphere to be able to breathe
Mm,
if we are right next to a vacuum?
right, right, right.
I'll tell you what, we're under a dome. The only way for you to have an atmosphere is if you have a closed circuit, the way that you have the terrarium for plants.
Mm-hmm.
You must have an encasement for an atmosphere to exist. Otherwise, with the vast, enormous size of what space is, the vacuum for that is now, and the little bit of what we have of 25,000 miles and a little bit of atmosphere that's supposedly sealed around us based on a little bit of what they call gravity, which nobody can describe.
Mm-hmm.
Even your boy Gates and the rest of them, when you ask him what is gravity, your boy the clown of astrophysics says, "We don't know." Next, that's what he told the guy who asked him.
Who Gates?
Neil deGrasse
Oh,
Tyson.
no, the grad. Okay.
He says, "Neil, we were talking about this. People want to know what is gravity." He goes, "We don't know." Next. And he goes, "Well, it's this, this, and this, and it's a this." Give me a break.
Uh,
There's no such thing as gravity, and even Newton at the end admitted that he didn't know what the hell it was.
mm,
But the smarter one, which was Tesla,
mm.
he said that we live in a field of electromagnetics. If you understand electromagnetism, you understand life. All right? So we live under an isolating fabric. And you heard me say this since the 90s and the 80s when I was teaching metaphysics, that we are under a compressed hydrogen dome.
Mm,
And that's who is easing their way through the waters above to come into our reality through gates, harmonic and sonic and psionic and different energy patterns that can uh, de emphasize matter and
mm,
re emphasize it into another plane. The same way our ancestors built all of these pyramids and these great underground cities that are being dug up. There's
mm.
science that they're just now digging up, trying to find out how our ancestors did it. I'm sorry.
No, I'm very much interested in what you're saying. I mean, I never got deep into the flat Earth versus round Earth discussion. So I'm just trying to understand everything that's going on within the conversation. You know
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
I'm
saying?
saying you have to understand, my beloved brother, that we are so deluded that
Mm,
what I'm saying sounds crazy.
mm,
It sounded crazy to me when I was first, and it's only like the last 10 years,
mm,
and it was because of a young girl that I told you that say, Dr. Valentine, the Earth is flat. And this is not, it wasn't new to me, which I said, yeah, I heard, I know. And if it wasn't for the brother Eric over there at the bookstore, at Weiser's bookstore, who
Mm,
gave me that book by that European, Janelli,
mm,
and Worlds Beyond the Poles. When he gave me that, I was not ready for it. So I kept on pushing about the ground earth because I too was deluded, and
mhm,
I admitted to it. But then when it woke me back up, and I said, you know what, let me go back and revisit the books that I had. And sure enough, I was ready. Just said when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, essentially, because I remained a student and I never just completely dismissed anything
mm.
that the Most High said, here, open your eyes back up and come back onto the right path.
Indeed. You know, we hear so much about people saying there's more activity going on in the sky. I wonder, does that mean if there's more activity going on in our skies, does that mean there's more activity going on in the ocean?
Oh, you have no idea what's going
Oh,
on in the oceans.
oh man.
They said the sea shall give up her life and her death.
Mm,
The sea essentially is nothing more than a regurgitating, a time released regurgitation of human existence. In other words, the rise and falls of civilizations is based upon the rise and fall of the waters of life.
uh-huh.
See, and we're discovering a lot of things under the ocean right now, especially entities that live, humans that live like fish under
Mm,
the ocean, and that soon will come to pass. They're not going to really let you know about that for probably for a little while yet.
yeah.
But there are entities that live just beyond our ability to see and feel them.
Mm,
But because of the resonating field that we exist in,
mm,
the earth now is changing its frequencies so that those things that live just beyond our ability to see them through our senses
mm,
are now popping up as
uh,
images, driving people crazy, looking like
mm.
ghosts. So, with the shift of the frequencies, we're able to see layers of existence that exist just beyond the senses' ability to quantify them into a reality.
Is that when they say what you explain? Is that what you mean when they say the veil is thinning? The veil is
Yeah,
getting
the
thin.
veil is lifting,
The
actually.
veil is lifting.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And what's happening is the veil on our eyes is based upon the pineal's ability to shed or to see. The pineal is like a penis,
Mm-hmm.
and they talk about. You've heard the talk about calcification of the pineal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between the crystallization and calcification.
Mm-hmm.
The calcification is not a whole lot of calcium come. That's a misnomer. The calcification is this osseous, oily material that forms on the pineal
Mm-hmm.
that distorts the signals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the signal bands become distorted once that oily material collects around it,
Mm-hmm.
and it then becomes flaccid. Now if you're trying to create anything with a female, ain't no flaccid penis gonna get in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, if you look at a pineal that has been invested with the Kundalini force, which is the feminine energy, because the feminine energy is Kundalini, it's called the Nibonika fire. That's the seducer,
Mm-hmm.
that's the seduction. All right, she is the one who's dancing. You notice her shape is what we like to look at. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the shape is what it is. You notice what she looks like. A woman's hourglass figure is essentially you can look at it looking at the same way. It's the
Mm-hmm.
Kundalini energy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the Kundalini rising through the falling of the Ether and the Pingala, that becomes the seductor, that becomes the belly dancer, the one that seduces men because we're visual. And visual is what? The eyes. And what is the pineal? An eye.
All right, first time.
Right. So the Kundalini now becomes the seductress. And the
Mm-hmm.
pineal now is she's the Shakti, and he becomes the marriage. They call it the sacred marriage. Uh,
Well, Shiva Shakti?
Shiva Shakti.
Shiva, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So as he comes up, it then begins to light that lamp. It sparks
Hmm.
in there, and the eye, the pineal stands up like the standing rod.
Yeah.
But then, if it's healthy, it's not osseous. It's covered with a crystal. The blood begins to titrate a crystalline, the same way that you see quartz, and that's when it begins to start becoming that sender, that broadcast receiver.
Mm,
As she feeds it,
right.
she starts, because you know when you got a fly woman, and you know you got her alone, and what do you call it? Boom. You know, she's soft and she's work. You first of all, the standing rod starts moving. I remember back in
So
the days, you know, in the basement parties, you know, you dance the slow dance, and you
yeah.
hope you could back away from her. You know, really conspicuous, like you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's the same thing Kundalini is. Kundalini is that internal sexual dynamic, and there's a sensualness that takes place in the body, because, like they said, all sex is in the head first.
Yeah.
You
So,
see?
so, Doc, let me get this straight. So, the external representation of feminine energy
Hmm.
gets our penis hard, and
Right.
the internal representation of feminine energy
At
gets
your
our
pineal.
pineal hard. God damn
There
it!
you go.
That damn black.
Now you got it.
Oh my God! Oh my
Now
God!
you got it.
Woo! That right there is the whole show. We can end it right now, family. We can end this show. I ain't got to do a show the rest of the year, y'all. Woo! Jesus Christ,
Yes.
man, that's
So,
something, Doc.
yeah, well, that's what we teach at the university.
Oh,
You're gonna a lot of, you can go up on the site, the uksnow.org, and click where it says testimonials.
mhm,
And we're so happy, and we're proud about the fact that these young people came, and it just changed their lives, the way that I set the curriculum up. And I'm talking about a diverse set of people from, and I think I've told you this, from professional football and basketball players,
mhm,
musicians, just professors from MIT and Princeton, and different places around, all teachers, truck drivers, housewives. This is a university for your humanity,
mhm,
for you, to teach you what you're missing as being a human being, because that's the thing less studied now that we are becoming so scientific and technological. The technology of the human being
mhm.
is so fascinating, and so,
Yeah.
if we don't solve this tech, then that tech will take us over and
Mm,
solve our problems for us.
mm. When is the next semester in your university?
March the 4th. And we actually, if you go up online and you click where it says registration, you can register, and just put down that you're registering in the last box. Just put down that you're registering for MPSY 1, which is Metaphysical Psychology 1, our
Mm-hmm,
entry level course.
mm-hmm,
And that MPSY 1, just put down registering for that spring semester 2023, and you'll be contacted, and then you can go through the process of enrollment. Of course, we meet on Saturdays at
mm,
10 a.m. In the morning Eastern time,
mm,
and we go on for as long as it takes for that particular lesson. Of course, homework is required,
mm,
because you have to apply what we review in the
mm,
class. You get to keep your tuition. You get to keep the PowerPoint presentation,
mm,
and you get to keep the audio,
mm.
because you have to study. So by the time you're done, you have a complete catalog of
Right.
the semester that you can go over and over again. And my students have called me back and said, I went over the classes that we had, and I get something new each time.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, definitely, family. Make sure you sign up for the university. I'm gonna put the link. Let me see where the link is at. Next semester begins March 4th. Yes, right here. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, family. But make sure you look into this, because I mean, the way Doc was breaking down this metaphysical stuff tonight. I mean, wow. We're gonna get to a few questions Give me some good questions before we get out of here. We're gonna get to a few questions. Oh, and before we get to questions, let me share Doc's PayPal. Make sure y'all support the good doctor. You know, we like to take care of our teachers on this channel and show our appreciation for what they give to the community. So let's support this brother. He's been putting it down, holding it down for decades upon decades. A lot of the stuff that we see on the internet came from this brother. So make sure you support this brother right here. Hit up his PayPal, kemitearth@gmail.com. You know he got banned from Cash App. He's got banned from several platforms. And y'all know what goes down when Doc starts talking. That's why we're going to be on Patreon tomorrow. But
Right.
make sure you support the brother, kemitearth@gmail.com.
Oh, if I may,
Yes.
our good brother Hank Risingson,
Yes.
but he asked me to tell everybody that sometime next week, he doesn't have it yet. We're going to be doing a whole a whole show on the wounded womb,
Mm.
and because he says that a lot of our sisters and our brothers are at war with one another,
Ooh,
and
bad. Real bad.
really, I mean, it's like one
Real
up. They got us in contention, but it's all around the feminist. And my book, The Wounded Womb, we came out, early in the late 80s, and then again in the 90s, and then the final the final publishing was in I think 2005 or 2006, where I condensed the 1,500 pages into 700 and something pages that you could purchase. And if you want to be up on that, I would suggest you just go to lulu.com. That's LULU.com. And in the search box, just put The Wounded Womb, Philip Valentine,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll put you on the purchase page, and you won't regret it because I keep getting calls from people. I was very, very fortunate that somebody in the West Indies is
Mm-hmm.
using it as a textbook.
Ooh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, and I'm getting a lot of good calls from Australia and different parts of the world where the book seems to be doing very well because
Excellent.
it's timely now. After
Yeah, no.
35 years, it's finally timely. Thank goodness.
Doc, man, it's sad. I had a brother tell me this was in December. And I mean, the brother told me, he said, Rich, it might be easier for me to walk on water than to get a good woman out here. And
Yeah.
just the stories that I hear. I mean, I was just talking to my cousin, my female cousins the other day, and the way the relationship game is bad out here, man. It's bad, Doc.
Yeah, I've got. I'm coming next week. I'm coming next week to try to bring some kind of sanity to the situation, both for men and women,
Mm,
because I understand what's going on with our sisters. They're just as much victims as we men, because
mm,
there is a force and a source outside of us that's controlling us. And
mm,
they're controlling our sisters through their emotions and through
mm,
what they've been forced to have to do because of the breakup, because of what society did to the men.
mm.
And this is a Roman tactic that I have to reveal to everyone. So you want to be there. I think he does magnets, crystals, and pyramids. It's something called magnets, crystals, and pyramids.
Yeah, I'll
And like,
share the link on my channel. I'll
oh,
share.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll call him
Yeah,
again.
and he and I think the sisters are asking me to do one on the wounded womb. But again, I have tomorrow in your Patreon. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna. Now is the time that we cannot hold our tongue where we can actually not have to hold our tongue,
Hmm, hmm,
because everything regarding the Jabberwocky has shown everything that we've put out is now coming to pass,
indeed.
and the people who are responsible for what they've been doing to us are now going to be taken to task now that we have a new, not a new Senate, but a new House of Representatives. So, excuse me, there's been a mass resigning of senators and representatives now because they understand there's going to be a reckoning in
Mm,
Congress and in government.
mm,
It's going to happen. Now, this is deep. For those of you who understand what time it is, you want to rush down to Africa. Vladimir Putin put something out, and this is the thing. Everybody hating on Vladimir Putin. just like
Mm,
they're hating on Trump and they're hating on everybody that tries to bring them some kind of light. Vladimir
mm,
Putin said Africa is just a cemetery for Africans.
mm,
Think about it. He says, when an African becomes rich, his bank account is in Switzerland. He said, when he's sick, he travels to France for medical treatment.
mm,
He invests in Germany. He buys from Dubai. He consumes Chinese. He prays to Rome or to Mecca. His children study in Europe. He travels to Canada, United States, and Europe for tourism. If he dies, he's buried in his native country only. Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. Now, if you look at it, what are we doing over there for ourselves? What are our African brothers and sisters just like over here? And they tell you that racism is dead. They tell you that there's no such thing as systemic racism. They tell you that supposedly that this new thing that they call critical race theory is separating us. Well, we already separate, and people don't know that. There are people going around town and going around universities like Ben Shapiro, the Zionist, talking about there's no such thing as systemic racism. But you know systemic racism exists in the very fact that all the images they tell you about the great men and great women always come up white. Like
mm,
when they show you Socrates, for example. Socrates was, we know, a melanated man, nappy head, nappy beard. But they got him with this white face looking like the picture of some Roman Zeus.
mm,
When we talk about systemic racism, it's not systemic based upon the practice of it through whites against blacks, but the very structures that show greatness is always regimented towards white people who came and never really established any religion, never really had a philosophy of their own. Everything they did, they co opted.
mm,
But our children are seeing these pictures and are told, Umbaya, everything is all right. We're in the same boat as everybody. No,
mm.
no, we're not. If
Let's
you look
let's.
at our worth, if you look at our worth as far as fiscally is concerned, they have taken all of the monies that they're going to give and given it to people who ain't giving a goddamn thing back to it, people. All of
Mm,
the rappers,
mm,
what have they actually built? What infrastructures have they put back into their own communities that they talk about? And why is it? And this is my pain that I carry. Why is it that when I am looking at rappers, old gods, they call
mm,
them,
mm,
why is it that when I'm looking at them and they're speaking about their experiences in music, that the only thing I see and hear is war stories about them getting killed, about who to fear, who was the baddest, who was the worst hood, who did more jail time? That was not music.
mm,
That was the destruction of our society, destruction of generations of our young people. They're killing one another in Chicago over this same type of mentality that was actually fostered through the emotions that was expressed as rap when they came out with rap. They talked about hood rap, gangster rap, the whole nine yards. Rap was not meant for that. Hip hop was not meant for the destruction of our society, but they destroyed it. They don't show you anything else. And now they degenderize it. Hip hop used to be about alpha males. Now you got all these queened up female looking men walking around in dresses. What's happening? Okay?
man.
So I don't want to hear about your music based upon you sitting there talking about how bad this person was, and when what's his name from Death Records walked into the place, everybody started cowering. That's not, it's what, gangster. You know, we've lionized criminals.
Mm,
So that's all our children see and want to be, and that's why a lot of our sisters, and this is why the wounded womb is going to be so important. A lot of our sisters look at the gangsters as the ones that they want to deal with in the very primes of their lives. And then when they find
Facts.
out these gangsters ain't got nothing to do for them, now they come looking for the nerds that they were saying, yo, get back. You ain't got no shoes, you ain't got the right car, you ain't got the right this, and so forth. So they've programmed our sisters and they programmed our brothers. Brothers to kill one another, our sisters to say, this is the one I want. And only 1% out of the tens of thousands of women, all of them want this 1% of dude who looks good,
Mm.
who got the money, who's the pimp, who's the one who's the alpha, who's the one who got bodies. No,
Drop.
no, I'm hurt when I look at you putting Cardi B as your representative to government. I'm hurt because she could get away with drugging men and stealing from them, but Cosby got to go to jail.
Mm.
No, I know that I'm kind of ranting, and I don't mean to rant, but you all got to look at the fact that it's going to get serious over the next year to 10 years, going into 2030. There's an agenda afoot, and that is to destroy you, to kill you. Sisters, you got to stop aborting your children. Sisters, you got to start closing your legs. Sisters, you got to start training your girls, the little girls, that the lifestyles that you see these rapping females. What is this crap? What is this garbage that Beyonce is singing today? That they're putting to little girls are dancing to today. What is the lyrics that I keep hearing? What's the new lyrics?
I'm not sure. I'm
We're
not
going
sure.
to f up tonight. Hmm?
Um. Okay,
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're
yeah. Listen to what this witch with a B is singing, and y'all are just dancing along with it. Are you listening to the words going into your ears while you're shaking your ass? Are you letting the little girls that I see dance to that music? Being conditioned?
talking.
You think about it. Is Beyonce really somebody you're going to be listening to, should be listening to with that song? Nice rap, nice group. Is she going to get the best writers? We're going to F up tonight. That's what you want to hear in your lyrics. Go back into the 60s and 70s and listen to love songs and think, just imagine, would you think about them putting that type of lyrics in their song and you think they would get on the radio?
Mm.
Anyway, I'm done with that. And like I said, the
Mm.
wounded wound is going to be something I'm really sick and tired of hearing this because I have to stay on point because I would just shut things down and say the hell with it. But
Mm.
because I'm so connected to my people, connected to you, Brother King Simon, to Brother Hank, and just the brothers and sisters who are out there trying to do the work to raise our people up.
Mm.
That's why I stay on. That's why I stay on the hook. That's why I stay here.
Wow, man, what a show, Doc. What a show, man. Haven't you ain't been on here in a while. It's good to have you back on here, man.
Good to
Let's
be back, bro.
we're gonna get to this. We're gonna take about probably 2 or 3 questions before we get out of here. But reminder, Doc's PayPal, KevinEarth@gmail.com. Let's get to this first question from the chat. Ask the doctor, does he know that ancient Egypt is here in the Americas?
Yes, I do. Up around Chicago, what Chicago was, then down in South America, in the southeastern portion of South America, there was a place called Egypt. Yes, and the Mississippi River was Nile, and in the southern region of the Americas, the Amazon was the Nile.
Mm. So was the Mississippi was the Nile before the Nile was the Nile over
Yeah,
there?
Nile. Yeah. So the Nile is actually Hapi.
Oh, okay.
The Mississippi was called something else. One of my Moorish brothers, I forgot the name it was called. But the Mississippi is actually a name for the fact that it wanders. I forgot what the actual name Mississippi actually meant, what it was derived from. I think the Yamakra or the Yamasi had named it.
They want to know where can they get Wounded Womb, Doc? Is it on Amazon? The Wounded Womb?
No, don't go to. Oh no, don't go to Amazon. Amazon is where people who bought my book are collectors. They're personal, individual collectors of books. My book is not listed in the ISBN. I didn't want it. So it's listed as a, what you call it, a rare book.
Mm.
So if you go there, the book that they're selling it for, they sell it for $100, $200, $300. One time I saw it for $750 back in the day when it was rare.
Woo.
Right.
Wow.
That's not my publisher. That's an individual collector. So go to lulu.com.
Okay.
LULU is my publisher. .com, and in there put the Wounded Womb and my name.
Okay.
You don't have to put the doctor in front. Just put Philip Valentine.
Let's get to the next question. They want to know Novatech. Is it still a good investment?
Yes, I've done my vetting. I mean, this is me personally. I'm just putting it out there for you all to check it. You can go up to Novatech, what is that? Novatech
Let me tell you.
FX.com.
Yeah, NovatechFX.com. Yes.
Right. And if you want to do it by yourself, you can go to, if they ask you for a referral number, the referral number is 234587.
I'm putting it in the chat right now, family. It's in the chat.
Right. So the referral number is 234587. Now, if you want help and you want to do it through Reggie Juzang, Reggie Juzang will then tell you what will help you to be placed in a proper direction. But you got both ways for you to deal with the Novatech, and I do suggest that you do that. I'm probably in the earlier part of the lecture that I'm going to do on the flatted plane. I'll probably do a little something on the Novatech to show you the gradual funds that I accrued based upon me working this business. And it's a little slow because again, it's black owned and there's hundreds of thousands of people coming in at this time. She doesn't want to stay around America because I think that they tried to threaten her life because she would not give them the formula to her success.
Mm.
So she is not in the Americas. She lives offshore.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
but yes, it's been good to me, and I suggest that you just stay vigilant. And every time you do get a dividend, every week it comes every week a dividend because she trades every week. You get a little dividend depending on the amount you put in, anywhere from 250 all the way up to 5 to 10,000 people doing, and that money is what they are trading against cryptocurrency and the forex, the foreign exchange.
Mm.
Now, the cryptocurrency is not, she's not trading against the coins themselves. She's trading against the actual activity of trading and buying and selling.
Mm.
So everybody is buying at one point, everybody is selling at one point. So the percentages having to do with buying and selling is what she's actually monetizing that the Novatech with.
Mm.
So you can get, if you just want to do it for yourself, every Friday there's a dividend. You fold the dividend over into your principal, and now you got a higher principal for it to trade. If you want to do it for Saturday, then invite people in, and then you talk to Reggie, and then they'll show you where to put the people so you can build up a tree, and then you get paid. You get paid Saturdays as well.
Indeed. Let's the information is right there on the screen, family. The referral number, Reggie Juzang, Novatech is right there on the screen, family. We're gonna get to this next question.
Right?
Is the Grand Canyon a bleed over to Mars or Africa?
The Grand Canyon, essentially, to me, was a giant ocean at one time,
Mm.
covered in water,
Mm-hmm.
but it dried out twice, 2 or 3 times, and it was essentially built up, uh, and it was a storage place for a lot of ancient Kemetic artifacts.
Mm.
They shut it down. The I forgot the name of the museum, but the American Museum, where they have all the airplanes and everything,
Mm-hmm.
they sent a a configuration or what is that? A constituency of people of researchers to find out whether this cave that contained the pictures of Shiva, Brahma, and hieroglyphics and the whole 9 yards was real. Once they found out, because the water levels had dropped and a cave was seen, they
Mm-hmm.
saw that they had all these artifacts were inside of this cave. And so, yes, the Grand Canyon is not a bleed over to Mars. The Grand Canyon essentially was an ocean at one point that dropped its level, was inhabited by our ancestors, and left after a while. As far as Mars is concerned, don't look at these planets as actually being solid things. That is a lie. That's NASA giving you an impression that somehow these orbiting lights that you see that's based in sonoluminescence. Look it up. Sonoluminescence. It's the blinking of a light. When you get a powerful enough telescope and look to where they tell you Mars is, you will see that everything about that thing that's supposed to look like Mars is distorted. You'll see something like a light that just keeps moving like this, and it's pulsating, and it's the specific figurations that the pulse gives is what they're using in NASA as the lines that they put in there to show that somehow this is a planet. It's not a planet. The word planet comes from the Greek planetai, which means wanderer. A wanderer does not get into a fixed orbit. A wanderer just simply wanders.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew back then that what they looks like planets are essentially light configurations of sound. Remember what we said that they found when they collided those two protons together. They found a quantum, I mean, I named it, a quantum central resonance.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And that quantum central resonance is shown in every living thing. And that's what you're looking up in above the dome and inside the dome, trapped inside the dome, and above the dome is water. Trapped inside the dome is a liquid and these pulsating harmonics that's inside the thick space of the dome. That is the light harmonics that are essentially feeding what we call the stars
Mm-hmm.
on the dome. And they're giving the dome itself as it's circling, as the dome and the stars are circling above us in the cyclotron that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
we are getting certain pulsations and instructions